Welcome back to Talking Transfers, everyone. There has been a lot happening in the world of Arsenal transfers, and listen, we've got our first signing through the door as well. Joining us again to discuss it is Curtis and Cecil. Going to get your thoughts all in a second, but let's just remind ourselves of everything that is happening in the transfer window. As we sat to record this, David Ornstein, who's been, as Robbie said, dropping bombs all window, has come out and said that Arsenal have reached an agreement in principle with Chelsea to sign forward Kai Havertz, 24-year-old international, is worth around 65 million. So all these reports that we weren't going to do anything till Rice was tied down, well, it's good for this show because there's a lot going on. Kai Havertz will be an Arsenal player for 65 million. We'll explore that in a little bit more detail in a sec. Let's talk about other transfers as well. Timber, according to Sky Germany and sources in Holland, in the Netherlands, it's going to be a 45 million euro deal they're roughly looking at. It'll be very interesting to see if Jurrien Timber is going to be the next signing through the door. Declan Rice, as well, a second bid for the midfielder was rejected. What was it, about 75 plus 50 million add-ons?
Yeah.
We were hearing that is going to take a little bit more if we want to get him out of West Ham. Man City still lurking, and Man United apparently interested. Romeo Lavia as well. It's a little bit of a Romano versus Ornstein one here. Ornstein saying that nothing's massively progressed, but Romano saying that Arsenal are moving ahead to try and get Romeo Lavia through the door. Now let's talk outgoings. Eddie Nketiah could be on his way, according to Miguel Delaney. Arsenal would be open to a move. Balogun, we're going to get some exclusive news from Cecil in a little bit about this move and what's going to happen, because some sources are saying that Balogun will actually be there for pre-season as Arsenal try and work out what they do with the striker, who's already confirmed he won't be going on loan. Kieran Tierney, could he be staying? Rumours that apparently Arteta is happy to keep Kieran Tierney. Nothing's really progressed on the Newcastle front as they're looking at Robinson from Fulham as well. Granit Xhaka, that has all slowed down a little bit, but apparently it won't be done until the Declan Rice deal is done. Thomas Partey, could he be going? A bit of a surprise one. Robbie, fair play to you, you called it. He could be on his way this summer. We'll explore that in a little bit as well. And Jorginho has apparently said that he will be staying at Arsenal, according to the Standard. There was interest from Lazio, but he will be staying. So let's get into it, everyone. Welcome, Curtis and Cecil. Welcome back. Second time on the show for both of you. Yep. We talked Havertz last week, and it's picked up very quickly.
Yeah, I've always rated him, to be fair. Oh, right. Do you know what it is? It's one of them that you kind of knew it was happening. You've had to try and find a way to get your head around it. What can you do about it? But, I mean, we were talking off camera there. I think the good thing is that Arsenal have come out the traps flying. You're usually doing transfer daily, and we're like, when are we actually going to sign someone? For them to spend 65 million, when the window's been open a matter of days, is like, you know, it's, at least we're moving in the right direction. And I've always said that, look, we might not agree with every player that we sign, but if Arteta wants that player and that's his plan A, then we need to start giving him the plan A, so we can truly see how good he is as a manager. And I think with Havertz, look, it's, for me, I think you've got to play him behind the striker. I don't want to see him leading the line. I mean, we were saying as strikers, man, he's been hard to watch at Chelsea, but I think he likes his versatility. He can play on the right, on the left, in the 10, in the up front, maybe in the 8 role as well. So listen, I'm not singing and dancing about the signing, but
I will be.
You will be. You will be dancing, but listen, we've just got to hope we can get the Leverkusen one rather than the Chelsea one.
Completely agree. Now, Cecil, I touched on Balogun briefly there. Yeah. You were just out in Vegas in the States, well done on all that. You met the Arsenal boys as well. But you said you left with a little bit of a feeling around Balogun's future, and there are lots of reports that he's going to get pre-season to prove himself.
Yeah, I was there, was with the national team, and fair play to him. He is the star boy there, let me tell you that. They obviously love Pulisic, but since he's changed allegiance to represent the US, he's like a superior to a lot of the fans. They got a real warm reception. When I spoke to him, I kind of mentioned Arsenal. There was a kind of a we'll see sort of vibe, which kind of, when I said about Arsenal next season, you know, and he kind of said we'll see. So I was just interested to think, in my head, from a player, that kind of means not right. Nothing's really been finalised, but I don't see him will stay in Arsenal, if I'm completely honest. That's what I got. That's the vibe I got from being there over there with him. I feel like he understands who he is right now. After the Stade de Reims, his spell there, unbelievable. Now with the US, they love him. They sing his name. I think he's going to want regular football. I think Arsenal, in my opinion, going into Champions League next season and everything as well, and where we're at, I don't think they're going to be able to provide that. So I don't see him personally staying at Arsenal come next season. For the pre-season tour, I hope he's there. I don't know about that. I do know Matt Turner will not be at the pre-season tour because he's representing the US for the Gold Cup, and he requested if he could do that because I think he wants to be back more with family and in the States for that. So he's going to be not with the US with the Arsenal team over in pre-season tour. But Balogun, for me, I don't see him staying.
Interesting. There you go. A little bit exclusive insight there. That's great.
But big up the Arsenal boys, just quickly, sorry, big up the Arsenal because there was lots of love and, you know, Austin Trusty as well.
Former Arsenal players out there as well.
Jonas Musa, by the way. Yeah. He said, call Edu and bring me back.
So Edu, very good player.
I think he's quality and he would he loves the club. We had a good little catch up and he's great energy. But yeah, Jonas Musa, what a player as well that you mentioned. Yeah. Had a great World Cup as well and he played really well in the Nations League. So a good player to keep an eye out for.
Fair enough. Let's talk about midfielders because Robbie, you said to me, I hope you don't mind me saying this, we'll cut it out if you do.
Just going to get the look.
You said to me a while ago, Thomas Partey, man, could be going.
Yeah, I got a drop on it right before the window started that, you know, he's looking to leave. I think what's happened with this, it's, from what I'm understanding, it's more Thomas Partey wants to leave more than Arsenal want him to leave. I think Arsenal expected him to be in place. So it's not like, oh, we're bringing in Rice and we're getting rid of Xhaka and Partey. I think it's come a bit as a surprise to Arsenal that he wants to leave. We know he's had all these sort of off the field issues as well. Maybe, I don't know if that's had something to do with it. Yeah. And yeah, he wants to go. And if he goes, and if he's wanting to go, I think Arsenal are looking on it and saying, well, let's cash in then. Let's make sure we get as much money as we possibly can. You know, I mean, defensive midfielders are at a premium at the moment, right? So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see where he does actually go. There's clubs in Italy that want him. He's wanted in Saudi Arabia as well. So it's going to be interesting to see where he goes.
So you mentioned the Partey thing. You told us on the very first Transfer Daily that, listen, this Declan Rice thing isn't as advanced as everyone thinks.
Yep.
So
I've got the drops, man.
So what we
it's not just David Orson.
Robbie bombs, man. He's dropping bombs as well. You know?
Well, Fabrizio Romano.
Fabrizio Romano.
Don bombs as well. Don bombs.
Well, I think, yeah, with the Declan Rice one, as I said, I heard it from a very, very good source that said, Robbie, all these people saying that we put 100 million down. That was before the window even out. He goes, nothing further from the truth. Arsenal are going to go in lower at first because they know Declan Rice wants to come to Arsenal. He's not really interested in going anywhere else.
Well, we're going to have a good debate about this because I was going back and forth with some West Ham fans I get on really well. I know Arsenal and West Ham fans are at each other's throats at the moment on Twitter, but I actually had a really good chat about this whole low balling and all that. That's for part 2 of the show. Part 1, I want to talk about Partey and Xhaka's potential exits. Now, I understand that sometimes in the transfer window, and I think Arteta said this, sometimes, and Wenger says it all the time, sometimes things just happen and you have to react to it. You have a plan, but things have come up. I think Havertz is very much that. I think Arteta's always really liked Havertz, didn't think he'd probably be available. Now he is, they've gone and done it. So, okay, that's opportunistic and that's fine. But Partey going the other way feels a bit like that. It feels like they weren't planning for it, as you mentioned. Now he wants to go, now there's interest. And you're talking about a player you signed for 45 million, has had injury issues, missed a lot of big games through injuries, didn't play well in the run-in. And you're thinking, 2 years left on his contract, 30, Declan Rice can play 6 and 8. Maybe they're thinking we can recuperate almost all of that, and maybe that's worth doing. So my first question for you guys, or probably to you, Curtis, is this not back in the Champions League the moment Arsenal meant to build on their midfield, not suddenly do the overhaul?
Yeah, I think ideally you would have liked to have seen Rice and them come in and Partey's still there as well, because if you look at the pecking order, really, Partey's still the best midfielder at the club. Yeah. Xhaka probably 2, Jorginho and then El Neni if they keep him. But I think they're just seeing an opportunity that, as you were saying, maybe he wants the move. He's being booed at away grounds. Saudi is lucrative to players at the moment. Yeah, I saw Kante, they've given him like 4 times more than what he was getting. So I think he's looking at it, probably thinking Rice is coming in, he may potentially play in Partey's position, go and get a big wage. 2 years left on his deal, and we know that Arsenal, a lot of the time, we've questioned them, you know, why are you going to the last year of the contract and then struggling to get a decent fee? I think if you let Partey and Xhaka go and you bring in Rice and Lavia, I think that's very risky. because no matter how good or bad you think those two are, they were a very good partnership last season. And it's all about partnerships. You know, you don't know if Lavia and Rice will click. I think we've got to sign 3 midfielders if those two leave.
Sorry to cut you, because me and you were analysing Fabrizio Romano's tweet where he said, the Partey deal, important to know, and he really wanted to specify this, it's got nothing to do, he put it in big capital letters, it's not related to Xhaka and Rice, where I think that very much feels like one out, one in. But he was saying if Partey were to leave, Arsenal would want 2 new midfielders. And Arsenal fans were rightly, because we know what it's like, we're so used to Arsenal not really doing the full thing in the window. It got us wondering, well, is that Rice and Lavia? So is Rice including the 2? I mean, does Havertz even count as one of them? I think Havertz is a forward signing. I think Rice is a totally separate thing. I think it means if Partey goes, Lavia we're in talks with, and then maybe one more would be the case. In which case, there's 4 potential new options for midfield set.
I think you need that. I think you need to go big in the midfield, especially if you let Partey go. I'm not too angry at it, if I'm honest.
And Smith Rowe stays, and Vieira.
Exactly. I think there's still a lot of options in there, and Partey missing 41 games for injuries for me is
how much it is?
Yeah, it's not acceptable.
That's a lot.
So I
understand, a full season.
Exactly that. So I understand if he's come to the Arsenal and said, look, I want to move on. I feel like Edu will be the one that will like try to keep him, and Arteta like, well, if you want to go, and looking at other options, like with the Aubameyang situation, he was like, I'm not speaking to him. I'm not getting involved. And Edu they will question it, like, no, you need him. He's a key player. I think the club where the club's going, how Arteta runs it. If he doesn't want to be here, and if he wants to move on, I think they're looking at the new options, and I think they will get it done. I think it's a big push. We need to do it. And even looking at like the Man City model, how John Stones steps into the midfield, there could be options there. Putting a centre back in that's very good technically, and they can push them forward as well. I think they have many options.
He can play.
Timber can exactly play higher up into the midfield if needed. I think I'm not too worried about this. I think people will be throwing their toys at the pram, seeing Partey go.
I'm a little worried.
Are you?
I'm a little worried.
I'm a little worried.
I'm a bit worried.
I'm a little worried. I mean, he's a top player. You say about the injuries, but last season they have a lot of injuries.
No.
The previous season, yes. Last season he played most games, didn't he?
He fell off. He fell off massively towards the end as well.
He fell off towards the last 5-6 games. So when people say he fell off massively, right? Obviously you want everyone to keep going right to the end. Yeah. We played 38 games. He fell off like the last 5 games. He had a good season, right? He's a good player. He's a great passer of the ball. He's an important player. I feel that if he goes,
he can be replaced.
Which, you know, if he goes, he wants to go. I get it. He's got 2 years left on his deal. If he wants to go, now you've got to cash in on him, right? So we should cash in on him. But I don't think we should be bringing in. I agree. Another player. It shouldn't be just. It should be 3 midfielders.
3 midfielders. Yeah.
Go back for Caicedo. I mean, the amount of money would be crazy, but. You know, I'm just looking at it, I'm just thinking, if he goes, I want someone to replace him. I don't want it to be like, we bring Sambi Lukonga back into them positions and things like that start getting spoken about.
Eddie should say to Chelsea, oh look, man, we're taking Kai Havertz, allow Caicedo,
just leave him alone, man.
Well, I think even they're struggling with the amount of money now that's being demanded for Caicedo.
It is a lot of money, though, isn't it?
It's ridiculous amount of money that's been wanting for all of these midfielders. Right now, defensive midfielders. Because even that Paulinho from Fulham, they turned around yesterday, so they want 90 million for him, which is ridiculous, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, if he goes, I'd like to see him replaced. Midfield is so important, right? And I'm with this thing right now, right? That we're in the Champions League next year. We've got to stop looking at players as backup and start looking at options. I want options to players. Like when one player comes off, the guy that comes in for him is of a similar level.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we were. When I was watching the England game the other night and you saw Rashford come off, Grealish came on. That's not a backup, that's an option. Saka came off, Foden come on. That's an option. That's how I want to see Arsenal. You know, because we've got Champions League, and Champions League you've got to go full throttle. Yeah. Then you've got the weekend game where you've got to go full throttle again. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about the fact that I think even if we sign Rice and Lavia and then apparently want a replacement for Partey as a DM, I think they're already DMs. I think we need more of a Gundogan type. He's going to Barcelona. Kovacic has now gone to Man City, so it'll be interesting the dynamic there. So
that could be Havertz, you know. That could be Havertz.
And we did explore. We talked about
Yeah.
off camera.
Yeah.
I would be surprised because everyone talks about that sort of that box formation, and when we're attacking, that might be good. But Arsenal do a lot of work off the ball, and Xhaka would always drop deep, and I just don't see Havertz doing that. So I have my concerns.
Do you not worry about the Martin Odegaard replacement if he goes down? There's not an option.
That could be Havertz. I think the thing is, with
there's
Havertz,
Vieira, we spent
Smith
35
Rowe.
minutes, Smith Rowe.
but I think the thing with Havertz, right, what makes him so attractive is the amount of positions he can play.
Yeah.
Attacking midfield.
How many can he play well?
He can play box to box. He can play across the front three.
Hey, you're doing the welcome video, so
I don't think that signs of me as bad as what people make out. It's not a dud. Right, you know what I mean? He's not an old player either. He's 24.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The manager really, really wants him. We got to trust him on this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We got to trust Ramsdale. When everyone was like losing it. Ben White, when people was like 50 million White. You know what I mean? We got to trust him on this, man. He knows what system he wants to play. You're not an old player he's buying. It's a young, 24-year-old, experienced player. Has played in the Champions League. And I think
Intelligent as well.
will play better in our system than he does at Chelsea, because Chelsea's system has been pretty whack for the past few years, hasn't it?
All right.
So
Let's go into our ITK Rater part of the show. We're going to do a slightly different twist on it. We know that there's so many people in this world of transfers who know things, including Fabrizio Romano. So let's put forward 5 Arsenal players who could be on their way and find out whether these two here think they are leaving. Okay, let's go into it. Got your buzzers there. Britain's Got Talent buzzers. As per Britain's Got Talent, what we'll do, I'm going to show you 5 Arsenal players. If you think they're leaving, hit the X. Or if you think they're going. If you want them off stage. Not if you want them, but if you think they're going.
If I think they're going,
If you think they're going,
Yeah.
Nice.
Ready?
No golden buzzers.
Nah, no golden buzzer.
No, there's not. I'm not going to put Havertz so you can hit the golden buzzer.
I think you should ask them if they want them to go.
Oh.
Do they want them to go?
Yeah, do we think they're going or do I want them to? Well, we can say that after.
We'll say both, yeah. We'll give our
All
opinion
right.
after.
We'll say yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Well, you dropped the bomb,
yeah,
so I'm going off your energy.
No,
but
I think he's gone.
I think he's
Do I
going.
want him to go?
No, I don't.
No.
I don't.
I think he's like I said, in the US they love him as star boy, good for commercial reasons as well, and also I think he's a good player. You're
not sure.
I just think if you're going to the next level, him and Eddie, we might need to find someone better. But if there's no one better, he's the one I'd want to
You know
say.
the only thing with this, right? He's an Arsenal player who's been allowed to go out on loan. You know, go out on loan and do well. I'm a bit troubled by too much noise he's making at the moment, man. You know what I mean? Just come back and see what the situation is. I don't like this. Oh, I'm not going on loan again. Who are you to? I mean, relax.
You need to
You know what?
understand.
I
Look at
kinda
the-
like
look at
that.
the-
Listen, I understand
confidence.
it.
Yeah, I like that a
understand
little
it.
bit.
You've had a season away on loan
Done
and you've
well.
done brilliantly.
Really well.
But you've been given that opportunity to go on loan by the club that owns you. And they said, go out on loan, do well, and then we'll reassess the situation.
Yeah.
Come back and reassess the situation first before you're telling everybody that I ain't going on loan
Being
again.
a top performer, though.
You know?
I've got to be honest, I'm siding with Robbie on this.
It's not the fact that that's how he feels. I get that. I'd feel the same way. Let's keep that a bit
I think
still.
he's being a bit too public with it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because now how it starts to come across, and I'm not saying the guy, you met him, I haven't met him, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's like this, but how it comes across is, right, I'm playing for America now, and I've been on loan. Yeah, I ain't going on no loan again.
I'll be honest,
And,
the energy man was giving.
Yeah, you just kind of get the feeling like, yo, bro, come back first.
Yeah, I hear you.
Find out what's going on. Then, you know what I mean? That's just me. I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's me being a bit old school.
No,
but that's how I feel.
I want a little bit more like, do you want to play for Arsenal? Because we keep saying we don't have a recognised out and out number 9. Jesus can play wide. Havertz has come and plays all these positions. So if Balogun is good enough, he will get that spot.
He believes he is.
So
He believes he is, yeah.
so I almost want a little bit more like, cool. Well, I'm the only actual 9, and Eddie as well.
I think he might have already had conversations in the
Maybe
background.
that.
So I think he's trying to put that energy out there.
If he is going, these little 35 millions and things I've quoted, no chance. It's got to be at least 50.
100%.
I don't think Arsenal won't get
25
you know the way
million.
we do.
If
If that Hoyland, who's at Atalanta, They're talking about £80 million for him. He scored 9 goals last season at Atalanta.
Yeah.
Why should he be going for 25 million? No,
Right.
if it's 25 million, stay.
Next
That'd
player.
be mine.
I know, we're going to twist it. This one is, do you think he'll stay?
I think he'll stay.
Wow.
I think he's going, man. I just think all the problems at away grounds and the money, I think he wants to get out of that limelight that he's got at the moment. And look, the club haven't stood in his way. He's got 2 years left. They could have said, you're not going. The club are prepared to let him go. Saudis will probably pay good money for him. So, yeah, I think it's a shame, but it's a long way from, Robbie spinning around the Emirates, but I think he's on his way, man.
Yeah, that's it.
I think he's off. It's a shame though, because I think when Robbie spoke about, we need options in this side when people come off the bench, he'd be a great option with another bit of quality. But sadly, if the player wants to go, like I mentioned before, I think Mikel Arteta knows how he wants his players to buy into what he believes. If he wants to go, and if he's not buying into it, Thomas Partey, move on.
All right. Next player. Do you think he's staying or do you think he's going? Eddie Nketiah.
I don't know if this is a want though, or if the club are going to let him go. I feel like we need to move on, and that's really harsh. But I feel like even him and Balogun, I think you need to bring in someone stronger in that number 9 position, natural goal scorer who offers a bit more than what they both do. I love them both. I love him and Balogun, but I think it is time to move on, which sounds crazy. 100k a week, 14 top, supposed to be the guy, but I think he's going to want more as well than what he's getting as well, the game time and
Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to jump in myself.
You're going to tap it yourself.
the host!
The host has jumped in.
I think he's going. And I've
You've said this for a while,
I've been
haven't you?
saying this for a long, long time. The minute I saw Trossard starting minutes as a false 9, I know he had an injury, but there's also a little bit of a myth that he only played that role because Eddie was injured. Eddie came on off the bench against Leicester away from home. Arteta wanted to mix it up. And then he got injured, but then we barely saw him end of the season, getting really poor minutes. 3-0 down at City,
Now
and then he's
Havertz
getting
is
like
coming as well.
2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
And now Havertz is coming in. Balogun's up in the air. I know that you're saying he's probably gone, but he might get pre-season. There's 3, 4, 5 players.
Do you know why I didn't tap the buzzer, right? Because me personally, I would let him go. I don't think he's at the level that we need, but I'm just looking at it going, 100 grand a week, still got 4 years left on his deal. I think the club will want decent money for him. Arteta rates him highly as well, and I'm just not sure a club are going to pay a decent amount of money for him and that wage as well. I'm just not sure.
They said that they listened to offers for him, so
Yeah. All right.
And I think there would be offers.
I think he should.
I think there would be offers for him. I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think 100 grand a week's insurmountable for a lot of clubs.
How much do you think they'd want for him as a fee?
20, 25?
Yeah, maybe a
Would we
Palace
be-
or someone could pay.
Would
that
we
for
be silly to let go of him and Balogun? I just need to know from you.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see both of them go. I think you can only if you let go of both of them, you have to bring someone in.
I think they've just brought the guy in, haven't they?
Yeah.
That is the
But
guy.
I think again, it's about having more options. Again, it's about it's about having more options.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
All right. Next player. Do you think he's staying or going?
Yeah. This is painful.
Yeah, I want him to
because
stay.
I want this guy to stay so much. Like you just said, we need proper options. I just think with the Euros coming up at the end of the season, he could play for a lot of teams in the Premier League, and I just even when Zinchenko was injured, he wasn't starting. He was playing Kivior at left back. If I'm him, I'm saying
and he played
Xhaka back there as well.
Xhaka, like
Tomiyasu.
So I think they're making a massive mistake letting him go. But I just think they've treated him bad. And if Newcastle, Villa and clubs
Saying
want
that
him...
Newcastle have called on him now. They're saying that they're more after Cucurella at Chelsea. Villa apparently have called on it as well. So
I do
hope
think
he
though,
stays. Hope.
like Arteta, his Arsenal system has always looked different. And like last year, the Zinchenko converting was one thing, but 2 years ago it was Tierney was the attacking option down the left. Like I don't think it's completely out the realms of possibility that if he stays, Arteta actually does find a way to make that work. Smith Rowe staying as well. They've always had a good thing down the left. So
my issue with that is I don't want just one option. That Zinchenko coming inside. That's the plan A, and it worked really well last season. But surely you can offer a plan B where Kieran Tierney comes on, you change up, and the team know how to play with Tierney.
I will say, I think Arteta loves Tierney, the guy, the person.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's just about whether Tierney can be more what Arteta needs. But all right, and the last player.
I think he's going to stay.
And hit the buzzer if you'd let him leave.
It depends on what we. It depends on what you do. This is all circumstantial to what happens to the other players.
I don't really mind him going or staying. If he stays, he's decent on the ball. I think in the Champions League where it's a bit slower, somebody like him will be good in possession. But at the same time, if he left, I'd be like, well, it's
Can we all agree he's done well for us, though? I mean, I've got to be honest. Like, when we do the player ratings,
good option, man.
when we do player ratings, I said if you're talking about his kind of impact on the Arsenal team, then it's not that high. But if you're talking just like per minute played on the pitch, I'd say he's been pretty brilliant. Like,
I was very harsh on him because I was kind of in the mindset that we should have got Caicedo. So I already had a very negative outlook on him. If I look at him individually, he played pretty well when he came in. It got to the point where Partey got dropped for him.
Yeah, exactly.
He's very good on the ball, and apparently he's a top leader as well. Like very big character.
And very intellectual as well. He's a smart player. He's a player that Arteta loves. The players that understand the game and systematic.
I saw that away at Newcastle in a midfield where he should have got completely swamped and overrun. He just used his body well, knew what to go for, knew what not to go for, knew how to keep the tempo ticking. And Gary Neville did a whole Paul Scholes thing kind of on him. But I kind of thought, I actually get it. Like sometimes if there is
a great example, because I'm worried about that when we went to that game, Robbie. I said physicality-wise, he's going to get absolutely pushed off the ball, and no one got near him.
Can I ask you a question? Where did he come from?
Oh, no, don't
I know. He does this.
Please. Stop
Where did he come from? And what
Robbie.
was your thoughts about him when he came? And Havertz is 24, so this is why we've got to give it a chance.
I remember Yossi Benayoun and Peter Cech.
Hey, Benayoun did all right, man.
William
Benayoun did all right.
Willian, what about William?
But what I'd say, Gallas came as an aging player. Cech came as an aging player. Havertz coming as a young player.
Can I say there's a video in this, by the way? Tier list, Arsenal, ex-Chelsea. Amen. I think we'll do it. Let us know in the comments if you want it. We'll make it happen. All right, that's it for the ITK Rater buzzer, all that. We're finding out whether we think players are leaving Arsenal. Lots are on the move, and I'm sure we'll hear lots in the coming weeks. All right, let's get back to our next big discussion on Declan Rice. All right, so I've got a question for everyone. Have Arsenal been lowballing on the Declan Rice offers with West Ham? We know, well, there's been lots of reports. We know that Declan Rice and West Ham, supposedly they're looking at around the 120 million mark. Some are saying 100 million apparently would get it done from other reporters. But there was an interesting report that Arsenal were told that around 80 million back, this is a few months ago when they were originally talking about the deal, would have got the Declan Rice deal done. So are Arsenal actually so wrong to go in at a starting 80 to 90 million pound bid? That's what we're going to discuss, because Arsenal West Ham fans have been at it on Twitter. And I get it, we brought Gunnar Lee in, didn't we? And let's just say that he said some things that I don't agree with.
He came in like a wrecking ball.
He might not be going to the game.
Yeah, he can't go West Ham away next season. No, he needs to be
absolutely not. No, absolutely, I won't be going. But I'm just going to put my cards on the table. I think Arsenal, if they went and offered, everyone just keeps saying offer the money, offer the money. If Arsenal offered 100 million last week instead of the 80 or 90 that we offered, West Ham would have gone 120, please.
Yeah.
I think the reason they're saying, and we're hearing reports that 100 should do it, is because Arsenal went in at 80 in the first place. And I don't understand why people are so, and it's always with Arsenal, they're so insulted by what Arsenal are doing. And I'm seeing £50 million bids for Maddison and Barnes from Tottenham.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
I don't get it.
Let me just quickly stop you. Remember, I mentioned about this Declan Rice link way back when we spoke about it.
You were the original newsbreaker.
I knew about, I had a specific source who said, listen, Declan Rice wants to go to Arsenal. It's supposed to happen in January. If it doesn't, it will definitely happen in the summer. So when I heard that, I understand that the club, now this might be different with the money-wise, but I understand that the club will go in not at the crazy fee straight away. If they know the player wants to come, then surely they're going to offer a lower fee and slowly build instead of going for the highest amount. Like you said, it would have got higher and higher if they went straight away. And they knew back in January that he wanted to come to Arsenal. So I get it, and I think they're going about it the right way. I just hope it doesn't get swooped in by someone else and stolen. But I don't see it happen. I think this is this is just me. I just personally think it's pretty much there. It's pretty much done.
Curtis, are you critical of Arsenal's bids?
I think for me, every Arsenal fan's got PTSD with transfers. Right. So we saw us lowball Mudryk, get closer to the thing. When we was getting to the amount, he disappeared, went elsewhere. Caicedo, and we didn't get him. So Arsenal fans' thing is kind of just pay the money. But I think what was frustrating is when you're reading like add-ons. Oh, if we win the Champions League, but we've never won it. Or Premier League, we haven't won it for 20 years. That's what I'm most critical about. That's where West Ham are going to be like, the actual figure is not that wrong. 80 million, 90 million is very respectable. But it's like, you know, if you're looking at that add-on, you're like, come on, you're not serious. We might not see that money for how many years. So I understand them lowballing and trying to get the deal down, especially because the player wants to join. But I think after 2 or 3 offers, you've got to just think we've got to get the deal done now. We can't afford if Pep decides, oh, maybe I will take him.
Are you worried about Pep?
Not really. I'm worried because if they come in for him, then I think he would go there. But I don't actually think City are really in for him because they would just. City don't really have a fight with a club, but they just take the player
and go.
I think West Ham are doing that to put pressure on us. I do think we'll get the deal done, but you know, I think our offers are always very public. You know, 2 or 3 reject, but yeah, a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, very true, Robbie. Thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think the deal will get done. I think Arsenal's strategy's been right. You know what I mean? I heard that as well. That they originally told that 80 million would get it done. And look at their original offer that they made. It was nearly 80 million. It was 80 million, wasn't it? It was like it was 60 something plus add-ons and stuff like that, if I remember rightly. Then obviously, it's been pushed up, right? They've come in with a £90 million offer that's been rejected. Obviously, I think this Conference League thing
hype them up
sort of elevated Declan Rice and West Ham as a club.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're looking at it and saying, I think twofold. They're looking on it, one, and saying, well, do you want our best player now? Actually, that fee's gone up now because of what he's done. And number 2, I think they're very conscious of their fans. Yeah. We've seen their fans on social media and that. You don't want to let your best player go for what's perceived as under the value of a player or what he's worth. We'd feel the same if it was Saka.
Yeah.
We saw these little low prices. You heard me saying earlier about Balogun that he can't be going for less than certain prices. So
it'd be on record, you can understand fee, it. So it'd be on record. It's still a lot.
It's a lot of. It's a hell of a lot of money, right? And that's why when people just say, "Oh, just get out there and pay the money." Why? Like I was having an argument with someone yesterday saying to me, what's with all this instalments fuzz stuff? Just pay the money. I'm like, well, bro, you don't understand how these transfers goes because literally 99% of transfer deals are in instalments. Because clubs don't want to show that they've shelled out £90 million on their balance sheet straight away because then they might fall foul of FFP and not be able to buy any other players in that window.
And it can impact the budget because when we're talking about Arsenal having a big budget of 200 million or whatever this summer, the key thing, and we've been seeing those rumours and talks about the Havertz deal, it is 65 million, but 15 million of that you put to add-ons, so you've got 50 that's divided over 3 years.
But also how it works would be, right, imagine you've got a balance sheet, right, of what you've done business-wise for the season. So if you say you're buying Declan Rice and you're paying it in 3 instalments, it will show on your balance sheet as 20 million you've paid out this year, not 90 million. It will show us 20 million. So if under financial fair play now, at the end of that, maybe you've done your transfer business for the summer, you may have spent 200 million, but you show that you've actually outlaid 100 million.
Sure.
And then some of that shows up next year and next year. And then remember, they'll have fees from other years showing up as well. There's a lot of intricacies to a transfer deal. And I do feel that people sometimes, this thing where it's just go there, me and Troops had it as well, where he's going, you just go there and you just slap down the money, City do that. City don't just slap down the money. City are very smart when it comes to transfer dealings. Remember, they turned down the Harry Kane deal.
And Van Dijk.
Yeah, remember when that deal started, when Daniel Levy started saying 120 and stuff, they go, no, well, our limit that we're going to go to is, I think, what was it, 90?
I think about 100 they were.
Yeah, and they go, we're not going beyond that, and they stuck to it. But if we do that, Like on the Mudryk, everyone's like,
I think their success gets them a bit more patience on the players.
I understand that. But you've got to have a limit, innit? You've got to say to yourself, right, our budget is this. We'll go to a maximum of this for this player and a maximum of that for that player. And I think the approach with Declan Rice, it will only be a bad approach if we don't get him, innit? And if City do come in, but even that, I'm just wondering if that's a leak. There's a lot of things being leaked out. You know what I mean? We keep hearing about the deal. Why do we keep hearing about, the add-ons was structured in a way? We're hearing too much about this deal. I think West Ham are leaking some of this out. I really do
also
think it is.
West Ham, the clubs look at the market. They're saying Caicedo's been linked for 100 million. They're thinking, well, Declan's got that doesn't make
And
sense.
guess what's happened? And since that report about Caicedo came out, that they want 120 million, it's all gone quiet. Arsenal are looking at Lavia, Chelsea aren't interested. It's all gone complete.
And people were saying, just pay it. Just pay 100 million for him. Just pay that for Caicedo. No one's paying 100 million for Caicedo.
It's actually good to see clubs showing a bit of restraint. For
only Saudi Arabia's got their money there to pay. The Saudi Arabian teams will pay that. Where probably their FFP limit is $1 trillion. Something like that.
The government will just fix that, man. Don't worry, we'll figure that out.
But you know what I mean? I think the approach has been right. I think the approach has been right with Declan Rice. I do think we'll get our man. I do think he wants to come.
Do we all agree this third bid, it needs to be getting us near it?
I feel so. I think the next bid's going to be up towards 100.
Yeah,
it has to be. You can see they want 100 million and they want, some sensible add-ons. They've let leak a lot of the add-on stuff that's made Arsenal look bad. So
the last was 75 plus 15. So I'm just guessing 85 plus 15 takes to 100, but that 15 is achievable. We're talking 15 and it's made up of things like Arsenal win a trophy in the next 4 years, any trophy, Carabao Cup. They might get that in the Community Shield bonus this summer.
It's true.
He makes 100 appearances for the club. He scores 10 goals. Like it'll be that kind of stuff.
It can't be Champions League.
Now I know, right, why Tottenham never have add-ons installed into their team.
Because they don't win nothing.
They never sign a player, would they?
50 million add-ons if we win. If we win the Premier League.
No one ain't getting no money out of them, man.
Daniel Levy will be like, I'll give you 10 million plus 100 million in add-ons if we win a trophy.
Do you remember Martial?
And then he'll be like, got it for 10 million.
He never pay that.
Do you remember the Martial Ballon d'Or clause?
Oh, yeah.
There you go. All right, fair enough. Well, let's see what happens with Declan Rice and Arsenal. Curtis, as always, a massive thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it, bro. Big up, everyone.
Cecil as well, big thank you. And Mr. Don Fabrizio Robano in the
dropping bombs every day.
Exclusives. You need to just go on Twitter, buy that Twitter blue, get yourself that tick, and just.
No, I'm not about that. But did you see someone give me Romano a load of stick the other night?
Yeah.
No,
you know what I mean?
He hit back Brentford fan.
And hit back at them.
I felt like saying, boy, I have to ring up Fabrizio and say, that's welcome to my world, man. I've been through that many a times, you know what I mean?
Amen.
All right, well, let's see what happens. Everyone hit the like button, go subscribe to AFTV, and go check out very soon. There is an in focus. It might even be out on the channel on Jurian Timber. What will he bring to Arsenal? Right back, centre back. I'll try and explain that as well. And don't forget the Claude Cup as well. Tickets, Cecil, take it away.
Tickets will be available in the description below. Claude Cup, loads of famous faces and celebrity guests going to be there.
You playing?
As well as
should be there.
Curtis is going to be there.
Scored the winner last year, didn't he?
Last year.
Against your team, actually, right? I don't
remember that one.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
I remember you playing like Kai Havertz. But make sure you're there. It's this Saturday. Get your tickets right now. It's all going to a good cause. The Gunnar Claude Trust, and they do amazing things. So go get involved, and we'll see you there.
Am I starting midfield?
In the stream.
Where's that X? Where's that button?
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.